I once saw a monster.
A monster.
It had 5 legs. It was the most incredible monster I'd ever seen. Its pants fit it like a glove.
Like a glove?
The power is yours.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
Shall we play a game?
You're traveling to another dimension. A dimension not only of plastic and paint, but of games. A journey into a wondrous land where meeples become real and cardboard cuts like a knife. That's a signpost up ahead, your next stop. The Funk Zone.
Did you know what I learned recently?
What did you learn recently, dude?
As of this week, it is the roughly 200th anniversary of when OK was first recorded as being used in the English vernacular.
As in, okay. I am okay.
I'm okay.
Huh.
That's okay. It showed up
how many years?
200,
Yeah.
like the 1800s.
Yeah.
Is when it was first used. So we've been using it a lot longer than I would have thought.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those things like dude and cool, like that's stuff that hasn't been around that long.
50s, 60s.
Yeah.
Huh.
But OK's been around a lot longer, and it started from, I always wondered, where did OK start from?
See, I always thought that okay came from...
It didn't come from the corral.
Well, no, yes, exactly. It probably got, they stole it. I always thought okay came from the military, as in the word 0 killed, everything is okay, right? That's what I thought, because the military loves its, I was going to say acronyms, that's not right. It's
acronyms.
It's an acronym, like where you make a word out.
Acronyms.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
when you take like the first letter of,
like laser.
Several words. Yeah.
You turn the phrase into a word.
Foobar,
all that stuff. Yes.
So that's what I thought
wrong. It is wrong. I am incorrect.
That's wrong.
Shut up.
It comes from a slang spelling of all correct.
Oh.
So back in the 1800s, the slang term was to do OLL space KORRECT. All correct.
Obviously, that was incorrect spelling, but...
No, it was all correct. So yeah, it was the popular... It was like... I'm trying to think of there's plenty of examples, and I can't think of one on the spot. But yeah, it was just, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
All right, we've got some outtakes. Let's get started.
Learning about the English language with Paul, ladies and gentlemen. Well, let's... Oh, my gosh. We're starting off awesome. Paul, good morning. Welcome to another episode of Season 2 of the Funkatronic Rex Podcasts.
Well seasoned.
Hi,
Chris.
Hi, Paul. Oh, my gosh. It's been a bit since we've come in, which is good. We've played a few games. We've hung out. And... That's it. Good show. All right, moving on.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, I hope everybody had a good time. Leave your thoughts and comments down below and how crappy the show was. How short the show was. What's happening? Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, what is happening?
Oh, what is going on? Okay, so as usual, we record a podcast episode. And then after this, we hang out and try to play some games because that's... Both of us love playing the games.
Yeah, much to RJ's chagrin.
Right.
Yes. He wants to play Magic, and I'm like, I got to do work for the podcast.
That's right. Every other Friday, we got to work on the podcast.
Well, it's been every Friday, but
well, okay. Now we're trying to
peek behind the curtain a little bit. Yeah, we're trying to slow down a bit. We wanted to catch up,
right?
And we've done our.
I think we've done our due diligence, our jobs.
Fix it in post.
Yes. Of recording a bunch of shows so that we can get them out to you guys. And hopefully you guys enjoy them. And now we can just record every other week.
And if you don't enjoy them, that's okay. Listen anyways.
Yeah. Let us know how bad we are.
Yeah.
Because there's no such thing as bad press.
I do want to start this episode with some updates and some news.
Ooh.
This very formal start to the podcast. So one of the biggest things, podcast related, I this week posted so now you know when this episode was recorded. I posted the Q&A form for people to post questions.
Cool.
You should be able to submit more than one. We are going to be doing a Ask Me Anything or a Q&A or whatever you want to call it, where we're asking for you guys to submit questions so that we can answer your burning questions about, what our favorite foods are and what we think about certain games.
How do
and,
we get up in the morning?
how much we know about the deep Warhammer lore, which is none.
Yes. Yeah, we're not the lore folks.
We're not. I'm not the Warhammer folks. Not that I have anything against it. I just don't know it.
Oh, you will, Paul.
But
You
more
will.
the bigger reason, and I want to talk about why we're doing this and why this was something that we agreed to do this is Mike wanted to. We'd gotten some questions as to why the cast changed.
Yep. Yeah.
And what happened after season 1.
What happened?
And that kind of thing. So rather than us just spitballing a bunch of random nonsense at you guys, we were going to get...
Hold on. We actually know what we're doing. Aren't we spitballing random nonsense right now?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, the usual.
Instead of the usual,
yes,
we're going to try and get the old cast back together. At least most of them.
Great.
Mike, Michael, hopefully Alex, maybe Hiroko. Get the folks back in the seats with mics and answer those questions. So
Great.
This is a great chance to ask questions about the store, ask questions about the employees, get to know all 7 of us. I think is what we're up to right now.
Oh my God, Mike is wow. I didn't realize.
Including you and me, which
Well.
paid peanuts. No, Mike takes good care of us, and we're appreciative for what we do. But that's why we want to do that. So please go on to the Discord in the podcast channel. Ask your questions there. If you are a Patreon, I did also post the same form in the Patreon. I ask, make sure you give us your Discord handle so that, or name or whatever you use on Patreon, so that we can identify you, and we'll try to answer those questions first. So
Great. Is it like a
they don't get
like
lost
a
in time.
Google form that will open up
Yeah,
a
just
link?
a Google form.
Great. That's awesome.
Just
Nice. I
a
like
Google
those.
form,
Just a Google form.
easy peasy.
Just a form that takes your soul. Oh,
Yeah,
Google.
Google.
Let's Google that.
Google.
Engage the Google.
Googly googly googly.
Great googly moogly.
Oh my goodness, we're gonna have to cut all of that.
It is so
You're gonna
bad.
leave it in, and I'm gonna be like, "Why did we leave that
Oh
in?"
my gosh. Well, you're my backup editor, right? Like I'm gonna put it like Paul. Can you
Backup
listen?
editor.
You listen to this and make sure I didn't miss anything.
I listen to it when I'm distracted.
Well, no, that's the good thing, because that way, if it catches your attention, it's bad. You just go, oh, we got to cut that part out.
Yeah, that's
all.
reasonable.
Oh, my gosh. All right. Well, that's great. I love the fact there's a Google form up that you guys can reach out, because I can't wait to hear questions, thoughts, anything like that. Do they need to put their name in, or can it be
No,
anonymous?
I left that option.
Okay.
I left that
All right.
optional. So,
so
if you don't want to put your name in for any reason,
you don't have to.
Don't feel like you have
But
to.
we're not going to read your question. No, I'm kidding.
Well, we will if
If it's a pertinent question,
it
a good
isn't
question,
Ask Me
yeah,
Anything.
Yeah.
So we're not saying that there's any questions that we're not going to answer. Ultimately, whether or not we answer it is up to the big man upstairs.
Yeah.
And I can say that literally because he's probably watching us on the cameras.
I always feel like
That in time, like I expect, a lot of the questions that are that we don't think we'll get to, or we might not get to for time, or whatever the case may be, those we'll probably answer last.
yeah. And of course, we'll try to put someone on. Like, if there's questions, we can just post on the.
But we are
podcast
going to do our best
Discord.
to answer them all.
Yeah, that'd be great. I love the fact that we're trying to get a little cast reunion. Right?
Yeah.
That'd be great. I love the fact. Love it. That'd be very cool. Well, now that we've done a little housekeeping, we played a game last
Did we?
time.
We
Oh
played a
my
game?
gosh, I think we played something. I think it's called. Let me see if I can see it, because Paul brought it in again. 'Cause
Obsession. That's
it
what
was-
it's called.
It was a really, not saying the name. Like, I had a lot of fun playing it.
Yeah.
I think it was a blast. Not too complicated. Like, I can see how if you, like, I think we played whatever the intro version, base like the
Right.
simpler version. But as you add a few more layers to it, maybe more players, like its complexity can expand.
Oh, it gets nuts.
So you can like really go down that web if you want to. And the game we played was called
Spirit Island.
Spirit Island.
I have been obsessed over this game. I've been playing it nonstop as much as I can, whether that's sitting in my garage playing it by myself or playing the video game version with friends.
Oh. Now, is that a mobile thing? Like you mentioned last time, it's on the mobiles.
It's on mobile phone. It's on Steam for PC.
Oh, great.
And it's fully cross-play compatible. I've been really obsessed with the game. I've been putting in a lot of playthroughs with it. And,
a lot of time. That's cool. So you've already mentioned, like, so just you and I play, so it's a 2-player version. But you were like, you can play solo.
Correct.
You can obviously play up to how many players does it say? I can't read the box.
So
right
the base game supports the base,
just the base game.
The base game supports up to 4 players.
Okay.
With expansions, you can get it. I think up to 9, might be 6.
Okay. Wow. Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah,
Great.
it can get up there.
And then of course there's the online. If you want to play online with friends too. Okay. Great. Now, one of the things that I thought was cool about it. I love.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about what the game is?
Well, if I can remember, absolutely. So Spirit Island, if I remember correctly, in essence, one thing that you can use to encapsulate the thing, it's like the opposite of Catan.
Correct.
Right? So
I think that's a great explanation
right,
of it.
because most people know the game Catan. Right. And many people like playing it. You're gathering resources to build your society on an island, right? You're exploring, you've discovered an island, and you're building your stuff.
Yeah, a lot of especially European games take place in some ways somehow. You are playing as a group of colonists that are going to some random island somewhere.
Right.
And you're just trying to build up towns and roads and villages and things like that in the town. Right. A lot of games do that. Catan is probably the most infamous for it. And probably the most direct inspiration for the initial concept of the game.
Right. And I think you explained it really well as we were setting up. It's basically the opposite of that. You are, as a player, you are a spirit of an island.
What if the spirit fought back? Or, I'm sorry, what if the island fought back?
Exactly. So you play a spirit of an island that the invaders / colonizers, / explorers are landing on, and you are helping focus energies and the native inhabitants to help repel said invaders.
Correct.
/ colonialisms. Whatever.
Colonists.
The colonists. And I think that's
Colonists.
a really... I got a colonist here.
Old people jokes.
we don't... this is what happens. And I thought the twist on that, just the idea of like, let's look at Catan and flip it on its head.
Yeah.
Right? What can we do to change it, update this idea, and make it kind of new? Right, because there's many games, as you said, many games out there that follow this idea, and I think it is really cool. The idea of having a protector of an island that uses elemental forces, whether it's lightning or fire, water, earth, air, to defend itself. It's really, really cool. I have here in front of me one of said spirits.
Yeah, so it's a cooperative game.
Yes.
That you play as a spirit that has lied dormant for millions of years. There are native people called the Dahan that live on the island. I think we explained it a little bit when we talked about it an episode or two ago. But in case you missed it, and then your spirit has woken up because these foreign invaders have started to build cities and villages around your land.
They're exploring the land, building towns and cities, and like upsetting the balance of your natural place, messing around with the native inhabitants.
Ravaging the lands.
Ravaging, that's right, which is a really cool... I mean, frankly, I like it because it does look like, listen, if you don't take care of things as a ecological, problem, if we don't take care of it, guess what happens? Maybe a little too heavy-handed, I don't know, but I enjoyed that idea. Like, listen, if these guys sit here long enough, they're just going to ravage. It's like we're going to deplete all the deplete all the natural resources of this area. And I'm like,
and the land won't be able to heal itself.
Right, exactly. That's so like new agey, but I think it's very, very cool.
But I think it's handled very well.
Yeah, it's not too heavy-handed. And as I'm looking at, you have both, all of, every, all the expansions.
Allow me to peel back the curtain a little bit.
Hold on,
I had to combine a few boxes to fit them in two.
I love the fact that the boxes, obviously, they don't quite close. Like they are filled to the brim of Spirit Island goodness.
There's a little bit of room in the boxes, but with the way that I wanted to organize them for easier setup, there's a little bit of a lift because, like, the cards that you use, the boards for the spirits themselves, those boards are awkwardly shaped to where you have to stack them in a single box. So my choice there was I either split them into both boxes or I have a little bit of a lift. And I wanted all of the player stuff in one box and all of the invader and game mechanic stuff in another box. And so that's what I ended up doing.
Well, because you're helping, easier setup.
Correct.
Right? There you go. That's great. Now, one thing I liked about it is obviously the thought of the game design, the anti-Catan, and the artwork, the art direction of it is very cool. Part of me, it reminds me a little bit of slightly like the older Magic cards, a little bit. I don't know, a little bit. So it's got a little bit of that artwork in there, and the theme of it, the flavor of it goes through and through the game.
Yeah,
everything touches upon the idea of all your actions, all your stuff. As it should, revolves around trying to build up your spirit to protect the native population and repel the invaders and hopefully heal the land, prevent them from building, all that stuff, which is great.
The theme even goes as far as all of the stuff that is good that's for the spirits is all done on cardboard and wood. And then all the invader pieces are made out of plastic. So all the little explorers and the cities and towns and the blight is all plastic pieces because those are not natural. So yeah, they really did do a good job at thinking about, how this game works from a thematic standpoint.
And then all the card sleeves are made out of wood. And
Well, the game doesn't come with card sleeves. Those were a special edition.
Because you got to protect your cards, bro. Yeah, you don't just.
I just think it's easier to shuffle. The protection is a big thing. Yeah. I have had plenty of cards ruined by the stray beer or glass of water.
Oh yeah, right. Just keep it secret, keep it safe, right? Make sure your cards are protected so you can play the game, and it does help longevity, right? These cards will be around forever, and. Unless it's a collectible card game like Magic or whatever. I mean, I personally don't mind having cards having a little, a
little bit of wear.
A little bit of wear. It shows you've played the game, but you've loved the game. It's seen some action.
I will say on a game like Spirit Island and in a lot of the co-op games that I've played, where if it's a game that I think I'm going to play a lot of, one of the reasons I decided to sleeve my Spirit Island game is... There are games, Legendary we talked about in the last episode. That's a perfect example where I played Legendary unsleeved for a long time, and we played it back to back to back to back multiple times in nights every week. And there was a point where you could, when you were shuffling together the hero decks and the starter decks, you could tell which card was which. Because of the wear and with expandable games, as you add a new expansion, those cards start looking. So I actually, when I went to sleeve my Legendary collection, which we can talk about whether or not you should sleeve an entire collection or not. When I went to sleeve my Legendary collection, part of the reasoning for that, a big part of it, was to no longer be able to tell the difference between the base game stuff and the new expansion stuff.
Oh, no, that's a valid point. Because, you get a new card, it's shiny, new, it's not been broken in. Not been loved. And then you have it next to or playing, shuffling through stuff. So, yeah, that's a valid point. I can appreciate that. Especially when you have so many cards.
Correct.
Like, there's a lot of cards. There's a lot of cards in Legendary. But you definitely have a lot of cards in Spirit Island there, my friend.
There are a few more than when you played last time.
Oh, my gosh, that's great. Because we just played... Because there's two versions
We
of
only
it.
played the base game,
Yeah.
and I had... At the time that we played it, I had mixed in the spirits from the Horizons game.
Mm-hmm.
So we had talked about that in the last episode, where there's two base games. One is a very simplified version that has some really rad low complexity spirits, and then there's the regular base game, which has a lot of the replay stuff to advance the difficulty. It has a lot more ways to mix it up, and it has some more complex spirits in it.
Okay.
So I think, again, I think the Horizons game is a great place to start. You get better components, you get more replayability out of the full base game, but Horizons is a much lower.
So if you're listening to this
price point.
podcast, like if you listen to our listen to our description of it last time, and then now we're talking about post play here, and you're like, this sounds awesome. Both are excellent options.
Yeah.
If you get Spirit Island Horizons,
I'd say if you're the crux of your gaming experience is Catan, and that the idea of a reverse Catan sounds interesting to you and your gaming group, start with Horizons.
okay. Good.
If you're an experienced board gamer and you've played more complex board games like stuff and things, I'm looking at the current board games and struggling to find one. But if you played more complex board games on a regular basis, and it's something that you're more familiar with, then the base game of Spirit Island is fine. There is a stark complexity difference between the two.
Okay, so they definitely upgrade. They definitely upgrade the complexity between the two. So, Horizons gives you a little taste.
Right.
It's full gameplay.
It's
but
full
then
gameplay.
the regular base game gives you more of that depth.
Yeah.
If you want to explore it. And are there other expansions now?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get there. Yes. Well, we'll get there. All right. So, before we get too far, obviously some people are like, what the heck is Spirit Island?
The HE double hockey sticks?
Hockey sticks. What the heck is the Spirit Island there, okay? So as we're talking about, you play as Spirit that is defending the land. I have in my hand like a cardboard thing. I call them placemats, but it's basically your cardboard character setup. It gives you some of the lore, which is very cool. So if you want to read the lore, you can. How to set up and play style. And as we were setting up and you were showing me how it, because I'd never played it before.
Right.
So you've played it a bunch of times, but I have not. So I was totally new on how it worked. I thought this was a really cool idea to have in essence, on the character sheet, on the Spirit cardboard here that says play style. And at the bottom underneath it has something called starting summary. So you can look at this and be like, okay, do I want to play someone who is control-based, attack-based, sneaky, ninja-based, whatever it is, right? Whatever, yeah. So this one right here, I'm holding in my hand, which, as you mentioned earlier, all of these spirits are excellent death metal band names.
Yes,
They are
absolutely.
excellent. So I will read it normally and then read it in the death metal version, which is awesome. So this is the one I just grabbed randomly. Rising Heat of Stone and Sand. And then they sound like, a folk metal band. But it's fine. So Rising Heat of Stone and Sand, it talks a little bit about its background. It has a setup thing where it talks about putting your that little circular symbol. What's that one again?
Presence.
Your presence. Not the ones you unwrap at Christmas, but your presence. Your je ne sais quoi. You do that. And play style, as I said, the play style. This one reads, weaken and destroy. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's like Metallica. Weaken and destroy. It likes having presence where there are towns and cities, as it makes all spirits damage more effective there. I'm like, ooh. So, again, cooperative, right? So you can look at this and be like, I like playing this one, but the dude and dudette I'm playing with is playing a spirit that might not we might not work together as well, right? You could look at those spirits and be like, let's find a cool combo.
Yep.
Right. Now, Paul, have you guys, in all your playing, just shuffled up the spirit cards and handed them out randomly?
We haven't done that yet.
Okay.
We've been mostly picking spirits. I really encouraged my friends that I had introduced to the game to pick from low complexity spirits, and they did for the first few games. We've done it a few different ways. Sometimes we'll just pick a spirit that looked really cool, but based on the art. Sometimes we'll look at a spirit and like read its little description and be like, okay, this sounds interesting. We've also picked spirits that complement each other, where like Rising Heat of Stone and Sand is really high in offense, but really low in everything else.
Right.
And so we've in some cases maybe picked to fill those other gaps, right?
Yeah. And you're referencing like, and again, at the bottom of your spirit card, it talks about the starting summary is how they graphically show how the spirit will hopefully work in the game, right? As you play the game, part of the idea is creating fear across the island and fear in the conquerors / invaders. And the more fear you create, the more effects happen. And that's how one of the ways you can win, gathering fear, upping the fear, scaring them away. Defense and utility. So you have offense, control, fear, defense, and utility.
Fear is the primary way that you win the game, and the more fear that you strike into the hearts of the invaders, both the easier it is to win by scaring them away, and also you can just straight out win by just fully scaring them away. The game gets easier the more fear that you generate as a group.
Which is great. And on the flip side of the card, it actually shows you much like Heat or many board games. The card actually shows you the process of playing. So it has like a mini rule book. So as you're playing it, you can reference it. What am I doing next? Because that's what I always ask Paul. Whoa, what am I supposed to be doing next? And you're like, dude, just read the card. I can't read. I don't know what's going on. So the idea is, as your spirit, you build your presence across the island to hopefully create. I kind of linked it to like Risk or something like that, where you're moving across the board to create connections, because then you can use those places where you have presence to do actions like attack, defend, play cards. Because there's a couple of times I couldn't do a card because I didn't have
the range from a land that you had presence.
Right.
The presence is, from a thematic standpoint, it represents a land where your spirit is present. It is capable of influencing from those lands. So it's kind of like the physical manifestation of where your spirit effectively is. Now, the way that the spirits are designed, they're all very differently designed from each other, and all like mechanically they all use similar mechanics, but they play like depending on what you're picking, it's going to influence kind of how that. Where was I going with this? Each spirit's going to be mechanically different and thematically built in a way that it feels like you're doing what you would expect that spirit to do. Rising Heat of Stone and Sand is going to be really good at influencing the deserts and the mountains and things like that, and it's going to be dealing a lot of damage and heat and fire on these guys. Whereas another spirit, one of the biggest examples from a presence standpoint is Volcano Looming High. Volcano Looming High builds all its presence in one mountain. Maybe it starts spreading into a second mountain at some point in the game.
A little bit, but it's all building and building and building.
It just builds a giant stack of presence, and then it's effectively throwing that presence off the top of its volcano at the lands around it.
That's awesome.
And dealing damage that way. And so that one doesn't spread its presence around, but it can still influence lands. And I think in our game I played the river one, and the river one I just straight up built.
Well, you built a river
of presence going across the lands.
Yeah, every time you I'm going to push a little further, and I played the lightning phoenix or something like that. I can't remember the name. I was like, that looks cool, right? The rule of cool. It looks cool. I'll try to play it. The complexity was low. Like on the bottom of the card, it does say lower complexity or intro character, something like that. So if you first start out playing it, you can just grab one of those spirits, and just be like, boom, I can
I
start.
highly recommend starting with low complexity
Yeah.
spirits.
Just get the flavor of it. No, that was great because I love the game. I was like, well, I'm going to shoot lightning over here, pew pew, and you're like, I'm just moving along, and you're like, Paul, is that what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to be moving my spirit around? You're like, I mean, you can if you want.
Yeah, there's no, but like each spirit's different, right?
Right,
So
exactly.
like, for me, I wanted to spread my river across so I can push the invaders from the waters
Right.
from my
Right.
from my rivers that I'm
Yep.
building, whereas your spirit is more like building up basically the visualization that I have for that spirit. The lightning bird is you're building up like storm clouds in different lands,
Yep.
and those storm clouds are streaking
You're going to
lightning
strike lightning
down.
at different places. So
Yeah.
I bounced across 2 or 3 spots to build presence, and then bounced across 2 or 3 spots over there, which was very cool. Now, which brings us, I think, to the cool board design of it. Unlike Catan, where you have like the random tiles and other boards, this one has each player gets kind of like a piece of a puzzle. That is the board, and then you combine
Those
them together.
island pieces are so wild.
I mean, I really thought the look, the design, the feel,
Yeah.
awesome. And then per player, everyone gets their own thing, and they connect in a specific way, right? There's a way like player
Yeah.
1 connects to player 2. This island connects like this, so you can have a massive island depending on how many players you have.
What ends up happening is each island piece is this like trapezoidal puzzle, jigsaw puzzle shaped thing. It's really weird looking, but the way that they designed it is in a 2-player game, you can either do one really long island, you can do 2. The recommended one, which is what we did, is 2 islands on top of each other, or two sets of lands. It's all one island once
Right.
they're pushed together.
Kind of look like a circle, like square, as opposed to a long rectangle, right?
And then in the 3-player game, it looks more like a circle because
Okay.
you're piecing all 3 together. But you can mix and match and do it however you want. But the recommended setup is, the square, the round circle, and then another bigger square for 4 players. So you can really get creative with how you set up, and that'll drastically change how the game plays.
Well, yeah. If we had the longer island as opposed to the closer knit island,
It'd be harder for us to influence each other's
Right,
lands.
exactly. Hard for me to be like, hey, I'll be like, hey, Paul, how you doing over there?
Yeah.
It's like I'll get you eventually, but with this closer island, I was able to move my presence around to try to have my abilities reach areas to work together.
It was easier.
Yeah.
The game was easier because more of our lands shared connective points.
And the flip side of that is since more of the lands were connected and touched, whenever the
blight.
The blight or colonists would come in, it would be easier for them to spread out, explore,
Correct.
and build. So I mean, it was a nice challenging game balance right there. Like it's going to be a little easier for us, but it's also going to be easier for them.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of the colonists, you said that there are different. Sorry, excuse me. Merp got a horn out there. Yeah, we're just hanging out at the Funk Lounge. So you're going to hear some cars. It's okay as they
Meep,
drive
meep.
by. Meep, meep. There are different colonists you can play in the game, right?
Yeah, so we played just the simple version of the game where
Okay.
there's no influence over what the colonists do or are. As you get more experience with the game and you want to play more of the game and ratchet up the difficulty, because the simple version of the game that we played is pretty easy. You're going, as long as you try, you're probably going to win, but probably about 75% of the time.
Yeah.
But once you're ready to ratchet up the difficulty, you can choose different cards that change the difficulty of the colonists. And so I think in the base box, you can choose between one is Brandenburg, Prussia, another one is England, and the third one, it's not France, it's
Dutch?
Spain?
Well, the ones we played looked like conquistadors.
Right, Spanish.
So I think
yeah,
Spanish
the
conquistadors.
influence of the artwork is very conquistador-esque.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Don't quote me on that. But suffice it to say, France and Spain and the other ones, there's a lot more that come in the expansions. But basically, like, for example, England is one of the more difficult ones, and they are really good at building. They will build towns faster and faster and faster and faster and more and more and more and more.
So it like starts to snowball. Like one turns into two, into four, into like, okay.
Yeah, I don't remember what the specific special rules are. Brandenburg, Prussia, which is considered England is one of the hardest. Brandenburg, Prussia is one of the easiest, and all that one does is changes setup, where when you set up the game, you add an extra town to the board. And then each adversary is what they're called, the adversaries. Each adversary also has 6 difficulty levels. And so as you go through the Brandenburg Prussia, if you like playing it and you want to do it at the higher difficulties, it'll change how quickly the invaders will go through. You take cards out of the exploration deck and you move them around to make the game more difficult.
So you could literally, like, I'm going to play the basic game start at level 1 and go through that guy to make that super complicated, and then move to the slightly more complicated and feels more simple, but really ratchet up to go crazy with those guys.
Yeah, it can get really nutty.
Wow, that's cool. That's crazy. I'm thinking, like, that is a lot of design work in that space of how to make the invaders, the adversaries, scale up.
Both words work.
Yes, they're both appropriate. They're both fine. But how they scale up. So I'm like, I just want to play a simple game. We'll start out with these guys on level 1. But let's kick it up a notch. Let's go to the more complex version and go to level 10, and let's see how bad we lose.
Exactly.
Right? All right.
So that's one of the reasons why I ended up like falling in love with the game is for a co-op game, there's a surprisingly little amount of randomness. A lot of times when you play a co-op game, the designers will really focus on putting a lot of random elements into the game, so you can't predict what the AI, the very, very, very simple AI that these games are built on, is going to do next. And so, but in Spirit Island, it's pretty straightforward.
No, I like it.
There's a very
cool.
small amount of randomness. Now, some of the expansions add extra elements of randomness and that are really good. But at the very base level, it almost feels like you're playing chess, where you know what your opponent is going to do, and you can, with experience, you can learn what the optimal moves are going to be and plan accordingly.
Yeah, because you did that. You definitely did that a couple times on my turn. You're like, all right, let's look. They are going to build in a jungle.
Yeah.
So let's focus on the jungles. And I'm like, oh, good idea. And then the next turn or whatever it changed to, they're gonna build in deserts or whatever. And I'm like, you start to see that pattern. It still messes with you, but there's still a pattern you can hopefully anticipate. Because you're a spirit, you're kind of smart. You can see the future.
You're omnipresent.
You're omnipotent or omnipresent. I thought that was very cool. So setting up, like, you get the game, open the box up, punch all the tokens out, or play with the little plastic and wood and paper guys. You build your island, and then depending on the adversary, you set up certain things, right? And then separate from that, there's another like sub board that has all the game conditions, win condition, fear tokens, and adversary progress, right?
Kind of like the AI board.
Right, the AI board. Again, very cool. I really liked how it was laid out. Pretty straightforward. Again, not as bad as Heat, where I was like, I should know all these symbols, but I don't know all these symbols. It's like, well, put a card here, and then it moves here, and then it goes here. It's like, oh, kind of like Legendary. It's like, just move down the line and follow the directions.
There is a lot more words in Spirit Island than there is a game like Heat.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah. And that was cool. So the adversary. So in there you have a fear deck, and then the adversary deck.
Now, contrary to what you might assume, the fear deck is a good deck.
Right. Yes, I was right. Because as I mentioned, on your spirit there is a thing called fear, which you are trying to build to scare them away.
Yeah, so the mechanic of fear is whenever you generate fear, either by playing a card that generates fear or destroying cities and towns, that'll strike fear into the hearts of the invaders.
Right.
Whenever you do one of those things, you're going to move a bit of a currency, the fear tokens, from the nebulous area,
from the netherworld
fear
of
pool.
the
fear pool is what it's called. You move it from the fear pool to the generated fear pool.
Right.
And then once you've generated all of the fear from the fear pool, you cash all of that in and pull a fear card to be resolved at a specific time.
Right.
And all of the fear cards are very good, and they're all game warping. Like, we have we have won games off of the backs of good fear draws.
Yeah.
Like, we were going to lose, and then the fear card is pulled up, and it's like, we're saved.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. Nice. Well, I'm forgetting whether this was a fear card or not, but it's basically like you draw the card and, all the adversaries just decide to start killing each other because they're afraid.
Yeah,
like,
it was a fear card.
gosh, that was...
We struck so much fear
so
into
much
them
fear.
that they send, basically riots out from their towns to kill the explorers.
Right. And I'm like, that's pretty epic.
Yeah.
I loved it. Now, that was one of the other thing I thought was cool is that each adversary has their own adversary pile, which is, and you showed me at the end, well, we didn't even reach level 2 or level 3 where it gets more intense. But the adversary pile is, in essence, the areas of the map,
You're talking about the Explorer deck.
Oh, sorry, the Explorer deck, not adversary deck. Adversary Explorer. The Explorer deck basically tells us where they're going to go and what they're going to do, right?
Correct. And it's done in a way that you can make plans. The game is designed around these fast and these slow powers, and the slow powers really, in order for them to be effective, you need to be kind of able to predict what the invaders are going to do. And so you shuffle up the deck. There's 3 tiers to it. The first tier is one of each land type, -1. So you randomly pick one card at the setup during the setup to remove it. So it's sands or deserts, mountains, jungles, wetlands, and I think that's it.
I think that's it. Yeah.
So you pull one of those out at random, and so you have those 3 lands that they're going to first touch. Then the stage 2 is the same 4 cards plus all coastal lands. You randomly pick one of those 5, pull it out, and then those 4 cards are the stage 2 cards.
Yeah.
And then stage 3 is all 5 land pairs.
Right, that's the one you show me where they, as opposed to just affecting one land at a time, they're going to do 2.
They're going to do 2 lands at a time.
I was like, oh my gosh. If you reach to that point, like, of the game, that would be just chaos.
It's really interesting the way that the game is designed it feels like chaos.
Yeah.
They just start pooping out a bunch of guys super fast.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do we possibly stop this? But at the same time, by that point in the game, if you've made the right decisions, your spirit is influencing them at the same scale.
Right.
And so there are times where it'll be like the board is covered in a sea of white plastic and we don't know what we're going to do. And then we just play out our turns, our fast turns, and we play our cards and we grow. And by the end of the slow turn, the board is completely clear.
Right.
Like, not completely, but it's like those 20 pieces of white plastic have been reduced down to 4.
Right. And we had a moment like that a little bit where we pushed stuff around and got them into one land and we just nuked it from orbit, which was awesome.
There's a lot of those moments in almost every game where it feels like you did something super cool.
Yeah.
Whether it's as a group or just individually, you did something that was really rad on the game that you overcame impossible odds.
Right. And I likened it to when we were playing Marvel Champions, like your hero did something and your hero did something and then my hero did something and we worked together a little bit, but it felt like we were, working as a team and we had this big one shot and we were like, yes! Oh my God, we just blew it up! But of course the game goes, and spits out a few more adversaries just to mess with you. But that's another good point. So in the game, you have your spirit, and your spirit starts off with like a semi-deck building style of base powers, right? Like straightforward.
Most spirits start with 4 cards.
Okay.
4 power cards.
Right. No, those powers do, from your influence shootout, deal 1 damage to an explorer, or deal 1 damage here, or do this and this, and then which again thematically I thought it was very cool. You can upgrade those to minor and major powers.
Correct.
And as the name implies, minor powers, they're fun. They got some tasty bits, but those major powers are definitely like, hold my beer, folks. I'm gonna drop a bomb, and I'm like, one of us had a major power, Rain of Blood or something like that.
No, that was mine. Yeah, I think Rain of Blood is a minor.
Is it a minor power? Oh my gosh!
But yeah, I definitely had Rain of Blood because I was like, I'm just gonna pick Rain of Blood because thematically, I want my river to be raining blood.
Yes, exactly. Like frogs are falling from the sky, the waters turn red, and we both had a major power. I think at a point later on in the game. And again, thematically, the way the Rain of Blood is like, you just want to reach for the Slayer CD and put it on. Or the major powers, you're just like, erase humanity from all the world. Oh, like, oh my God, this thing looks awesome. The artwork's great. Thematically, everything.
I'll spoil it a little bit.
Okay, all right, here we go.
There is one major power that I found that I haven't pulled it off.
Okay,
but I did buy it. Or acquire it in one of my playthroughs. This major power it's like you choose a land, you generate something like 10 fear in it. It's a lot of fear.
Wow!
You do all these things. You blight the land. So you do all these really powerful things, and then you end up blighting the land at the end, which blight is the lose condition. We should clarify. There's a limited number of blight based on the player count. If you ever run out of blight, you lose the game.
Yeah.
And blight kind of works like the virus in Pandemic, where when you put the blight down on the board, if there's already blight in that location, it spreads exponentially to the other locations.
Oh.
And you can lose really fast out of nowhere.
Oh, wow.
But this card, if you unlock, so most major powers have this thing where if you've generated the right types of elements, there's like 8 different element types in the game: water, fire, earth, heart. Heart's not one of them. If you've generated 2 of each element,
okay,
so 16 elements.
Oh my gosh! All right,
I think that's what it is. I might be wrong, but
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
If you do this, your island board sinks into the sea. The entire board is removed from the game. All presence on that board is gone. Everything is just deleted. You just pick up the entire board and put it back in the box. So you just bury the entire land in water. Is basically the theme.
Okay, it doesn't have to be, but that sounds like the volcano god or what volcano spirit.
No, it's like the ocean one.
Oh my God! It just goes nope.
It's something like the sea swallows all, or
oh my gosh,
something like that.
The fall of Atlantis. Oh my gosh, that sounds epic.
Yeah, so
epic.
that gives you an idea of what some of these major powers do. They will dramatically, and that's where we came from before. Is like, in stage 3, the explorers are just really taking over the land.
Yeah.
But you also get a hold of these powers, these major powers that are just like, no, you're just going to delete everything.
I'm going to delete everybody within like 2 lands.
Or the entire board.
Or the entire board. Now, that's a cool part of the play is that, so your spirit starts off with those basic powers, which are still solid. Mm-hmm. Working together, like what do you have in your hand? Again, similar to Champions, the cooperative part is, this is what I can do this turn. What can you do during this fast phase? And then the explorers do something, and then there's a slow phase. So each power has I'm going to go quick. I'm going to hit you first. The adversaries and explorers do something. They're going to spread. They're going to build. They're going to explore, blight, whatever. And then the spirits have another chance with their slow powers, which can be just as awesome. So there's a little bit of give and take there. And I know in our game, I had the ability to make your powers fast.
Yeah.
So I
we abused the heck out of that.
No, that was great. You're just like, well, Chris, if you Chris, if you make my powers fast, I can kill everybody. And I'm like, cool, here you go, bro. Like, you go fast. I'm looking at my card like, well, it says I'm very offensive, but
if I remember correctly, at the end of the game, I said, Chris, if you make me fast, we can just win.
And I was like, good to go.
How about we just win?
Let's just win.
How about we just win, Chris?
I love winning. Love it. And that was great. I thought that was a really cool relationship. Like, I still had fast powers, and I was hitting and lightning and dropping bombs, but you're just like, I'm the river, and I am going to, like, tidal wave flood through it and wash everybody to the spot, and then I just zap them from orbit.
I just pushed all of the towns and the people into the area where your storm clouds were brewing.
Yep.
And then you just struck them down with
Right.
lightning.
And I love the fact, like, well, it's not just the explorers you move. Like, you can move the explorers, and then you can move the towns and the cities. Somehow you're just watching whole, societies around and moving them to a different area. It's fine. It's very thematic, obviously. Like the vengeance of the gods. But I thought it was great. So you have 4 powers. What was and this is, I can't remember, what was the process of upgrading our powers to get those?
At the start...
Oh, here we go.
At the start of each round, the
Okay.
game is played simultaneously. Everybody takes their turns at the same time,
Right.
Which is genius, unless you're resolving a power. So at the start of each round, each spirit chooses a growth option, which is at the very top of their card. And those growth options might be put your presence out on the board, gain a power, which could be major or minor, your choice, gain some energy. Or one of the cool things is reclaim all your cards, which is take your discard pile back in your
Right. So as you use your powers, you spend energy to use your powers, and they go to your discard pile. And then you cycle through eventually, but you have to actually do the action in your growth phase to reclaim that discard pile.
That's right.
You could still just play the game without ever getting your discard pile back if you wanted to. I don't know.
That's
you could.
virtually impossible.
Right, but eventually you'll still need to do stuff. But yes.
Realistically speaking, what's more realistic is you might reclaim once or twice with some spirits, or you might reclaim almost every turn. There are certain spirits where if you get the right build and you get the right if you get the right cards with your major and minor power growths, that you could just play the same 4 cards every single turn. And just reclaim to replay those cards and win the game based on the back of that alone. They call that a reclaim loop in the community. So
it's not like people have played this and broken it. It's not like
this game's super breakable.
Which is one of the reasons that I love it. So the when you do choose a growth option that puts out your presence. You'll take a disc from one of the 2 tracks on your spirit.
Right.
In some cases, some spirits might have more or less than 2. But you take the disc from the leftmost and you put that out on an island within a certain range based on your growth power.
Right.
And then what that does is, in most spirits, it unlocks one of 2 things. Either you'll generate more energy every single turn, which energy is the currency to play cards, or you'll unlock the ability to play more cards.
Right.
So most spirits are going to start out where they can only play 1 card a turn.
Right. Because you're just waking up. You're just figuring out these guys are showing up. Yeah.
They've just disturbed you from your slumber. After 10,000 years, I'm free.
An early morning Amazon delivery has made your dog bark at 5 o'clock in the morning, and now you're like, what is happening here? Wait a minute. Too real. Sorry. That didn't happen this morning. Oh my gosh. No, that's true. So on the card, you have your presence section, which is your energy and your card plays. And this, again, another really cool design. Like, what are you going to do? Do you want to have more energy to play the cards in your hand? Or next turn, do you spend your presence to get more cards to play?
Yeah.
Like building up the ability to use all the cards in your hand. Right.
One of the things that I'm always terrified with on cooperative games is the concept of quarterbacking, where one person is just telling everybody else at the game, no, you need to do this.
Right, yeah.
Spirit Island, there's a little bit of that. I did that to you a couple of times in our game.
I think when you're first starting out, like if you bring a new game and you set it up, like, guys, this game rocks, let's play it. It's kind of like I want to show you showing the new players how the game works and how fun it is. Like, hey, if you do here's the 2 combinations you can try to do. Here are some ideas. So pointing in the right direction. But after a while, you have to sit back and be like, all right, make your mistakes.
Yeah.
Right? It's okay. We might lose, but you've played it enough to go, I want to make this happen. Go for it. Right?
I think there's a lot of making that the quarterbacking thing okay is tied around how it's approached. It's one thing if I said, all right, Chris, this turn, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to grow with this option, and then you're going to want to move a presence from there into this land, and then you're going to want to play these 2 cards, all right? That's what you're going to do. I'm going to do this. You could just do that at home by yourself. You could play 2 spirits and play by yourself.
You play the solo mode. Yeah.
Instead, what I would typically do is there was a couple times where you were trying to move your presence from your card play track, and I was like, all right, you can do that if you want to, and that's perfectly reasonable. However, do you have 3 cards to play this turn?
Right.
And you would say, well, no, I don't. It's like, okay, you might want to move your presence from your energy instead.
Right.
And that's fine. Like, there's so many thinking points, especially in this game. This game is incredibly complex. Once you start getting down the rabbit hole of it, there's so many decision points and so many things that something like that is fine, where it's just like, you can do that. Go ahead, and if that's what you want to do, rock and roll.
Yeah.
But consider this option instead. And then it's up to them whether or not they make that decision. And again, as you said, if they make the wrong decision, that's fine. Part of learning these games is making the mistakes and seeing them. And
honestly, like hopefully making those mistakes it's not a game ending, hopefully at that point.
Is.
But it's just it's going to ratchet up the the challenge of it. So you go, oh, well, I screwed up, and now the adversaries have a little bit more of a foothold here, and you're like, if only I'd remembered how to, like, finding that balance of, do I want more energy to spend, or do I want to get more cards to spend the energy I built up?
At the lower difficulties of Spirit Island especially, the game is so forgiving. Like, you can make a few mistakes here and there. You can make some suboptimal plays, and you'll still have a chance at winning.
Yeah.
So that's just what I have to tell myself when I am playing. Once you start getting into the higher modes, you're playing England 6, which is the highest difficulty England. At that point, you're probably going to want to, like, really work together, some quarterbacking might need to happen, but if you're playing at that difficulty with people, you're not playing with new people.
Right.
You're playing with experienced players that have played it a bunch of times.
Again, it's the classic thing of introducing somebody to, like, Star Wars Unlimited or another game, Magic, something like that. You're not going to give them a deck that's like, it's so complicated that you're probably not going to win and it's going to suck playing. Right. You want to be like, hey, here's how the game plays. Here's the theme and the flavor of it. And hopefully we win. I mean, there's a high probability. But even if you lose, did you have fun playing it? Was this something that made you go, I want to try that again? Like, I think we can win this time. Or let's up the complexity and make it a little harder so we can, like, win again.
Yeah.
Like, let's keep going. And that's honestly at the end of when we were playing it, how I felt at the end of playing Spirit Island is that I was like, that was fun. I love the theme. All the stuff that went through it, and there was a few moments I'm like, I don't know if we're gonna make it, dude. There's a lot of plastic on this board right now, and you're like, well, again, I'm gonna push and move, and if you have a zap thing, and I'm like, I don't have the zap thing anymore. You're like, damn it, Chris. But next turn, right? And then because you gathered everybody up, and they went, well, now we're gonna vomit forth all these bad guys, making our board state very worse. Next, I reclaimed my cards, and now I'm like, oh, well, Paul, now I have that card. Yeah. And you're like, so and we move stuff around and try to re-get them, and that's when I dropped the bomb and blew everybody up, which was awesome. But again, I like that idea. Like, it is flexible, it is forgiving in that fact, in the idea that you're going to make mistakes, and it's going to be okay. Yeah. You know, you're not going to instantly end the game or draw that you lose card. Although every now and then you're like, I don't know. They're doing what again? Like, oh my gosh. And that first fear card we revealed, Oh, hi, Mr. Motorcycle. That first fear card we revealed, and as you mentioned it, there's a fear deck, I thought was so thematic. They're like, just everybody runs around and is frightened. Wherever you have presence, it scares people. And if you have presence next to them, they just kill everybody. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess our job is done here.
Yeah.
That was good. You guys have a presence over there? All right, like it. And of course, the moment they flip the next card over, they go, we're back. I'm like, God, we just scared you guys away.
Yeah.
But nope, that's the cycle.
You haven't fully scared them off.
There's one town left. I think it was like we had one town left, and then it expanded out. We're like, oh, we're so close. So we talked about like the fear deck and how it's very cool and thematic. Gathering fear, which is part of the currency of scaring, and a win condition.
Yep.
Making your spirit, looking at how to grow your spirit, right? So on the as I look at the card at the top, you have your 3 items. You pick one. One of them almost always has a reclaim your cards, and that's the part I forgot. Gaining a power card. So when you gain a power, if I remember right, minor powers, you look at the top 4, choose the one you think is cool.
The one that you want.
The one you want. The rest get discarded. And then it goes right into your hand, so it's available. Right,
you can play it immediately.
But you don't lose any of the other ones.
Correct.
Major powers, if you get a major power, you do the same thing. Look at the top 4.
Yep.
And then, but now you are getting bigger and better and smarter as a spirit, so now you have to forget or lose a power, right?
One of the minor powers or one of your starting powers.
Right. And again, thematically, you're like, I'm getting stronger, infinite cosmic powers, itty bitty memory. So you forget some of those powers as well. And on those power cards, and you mentioned this, and it's on your spirit thing. It's not just your powers, but it also, and it's that. What's the thing I'm trying to think of? The very Eastern style thought process of elemental actions, like Dragon Ball Z, you have earth, air, fire, water, airbenders, earthbenders, stuff like that. I like the fact that it's in here as well.
Mila Jovovich in Fifth Element.
Yes! Love is the fifth element. Sorry, spoiler alert.
Oh my goodness.
In case you haven't seen Fifth Element, the ship sinks at the end. No kidding.
There's not enough room on the door.
Not enough room on the door. That's right. It's just a single door, dude. He can't get on the door. I just can't make it.
I'm not going to leave you, Rose.
Not going to leave you. Just get me on the door.
He totally left her.
Totally did. Bastard. So on these powers, you have your elemental icons like fire, air, mountain, whatever.
Earth, fire, wind, water, heart.
Shape of
Captain Planet.
By your powers combined, I am Captain Planet.
Oh my God! No, that's
Planet. He's a hero. He's gonna take pollution down to 0. He's got powers magnified, and he's fighting on the planet side.
We're the Planeteers. You can be one too. Because saving our planet is the thing to do. Looting and polluting is not the way. Here's what Captain Planet has to say. The power is yours.
Oh my God, Paul. Oh my God. That's staying in, bro. That whole sequence is staying in the show. I don't care. It might be a little snippet at the beginning. Oh my gosh. I think I'm crying from laughing so hard. That's awesome. So, as our lovely co-host Paul just sang us a song as we fell asleep here, you have all these elementals are included on your power card.
Right.
So that you can... they all work, like everything works as most games, as they're well designed. Everything kind of works together. As you play a power that has fire and air, because my spirit was, if you have, for every air element, you can make one of your powers fast.
Right.
You just push it along, which allowed me usually to be like, well, everything's fast already, Paul. I can make your one or two of your powers fast. because I don't
You had
need
to play
it.
a specific power card in order to make my stuff.
Right. And that
fast.
card had the ability, gave me the icon to make me
your
fast.
cards fast.
Right. Which was a very, once we figured that out, we're like, well, that's a good synergy right there. We can just do mine and yours. So we did a lot of fast actions and not too many slow actions. And one of the cards had, like, if you have 3 of the, like, attack or tiger claw, you can choose to upgrade.
Called animal.
If you had 3
that,
animal elements, you could upgrade your attack to something better. Like, as opposed to doing 1 damage per thing, you can spread that to a land next to it.
Right.
And I love that moment. I was like, wait, Paul, I have 3 animal. If we attack here, every damage we do here can also spread here. And I'm like, oh, that's a lot of dead people.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was great. Again, very
It
thematic.
was fantastic.
And on this one here, obviously, you have the ability to each element appears as you go up. This guy's
So every time you
Presence.
play a power card,
right.
which you can play a number of cards equal to wherever you're at on your play track.
Right. Whatever number is revealed.
So the spirit that we have in front of us right now starts at 1. You can play 1 card a turn, and then as you put out your presence, you can get up to 5 cards.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
And every time you play a power card, that power card has a certain number of elements lit up on it. If you've generated an element by playing a power card, you've unlocked that number of elements. It's not a currency. It's not
Right.
It's not that you don't lose it for any reason.
Right.
That card, unless you lose the card somehow, which I don't know if that's possible. Well, no, it is. It is possible, but that's a really niche scenario.
Right.
So if you've unlocked those elements, then that'll empower your innate
Right.
powers.
Right.
So most spirits have 1, maybe 2 innate powers, which is what you were referring to with some of what you were talking about with making your stuff fast and that kind of thing.
Right.
And so once you've unlocked those elements, that enables you to do an extra thing as if you had played another power card,
Right.
basically. On top of that, each spirit has some special rules text. So the Lightning Bird special rule text was for each air element you generate, you can resolve one of your powers as if it was fast.
Right. Which turned out quite advantageous a lot of times.
Rising
So I was
heat
like-
of stone and sand is any location which has a sacred site, which is where you have 2 or more presence. Invaders have -1 health to a minimum of 1.
No, so you just
everything's weaker
instantly kill
because
explorers.
the heat from
Right.
from wherever you're
So
generating
hot. So hot.
is weakening their resolve.
So this guy's from Phoenix, obviously. Or
absolutely.
the Southwest. Yes, heat and stone, because there's a lot of heat here.
It's
so
going to be 95 degrees next week.
Dude, don't say that.
My grandmother reminded me
Yeah.
that 3 days in a row.
It's going to be
this week.
95.
Yeah.
Well, there it goes. Yeah, there you go. It's become the time when I was usually around this time I like take all my flannel and all my winter stuff, which I wear once, and I just pack it away.
One day a year.
One day a year, I get to wear my
you've
jackets.
got it.
Oh no, because having lived in Northern California, I built up. I have a plethora of pinatas.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a lot of flannels and jackets, and I get to wear them like a week, a year, and then now they're all going away and replaced with short sleeves and stuff that's
Which we
lightweight.
wear anyways throughout the winter.
Yes, because I want to wear my cold stuff, man. Like I just want to wear my
looks
jacket.
cool.
It looks cool, and it's under 70.
I got this sweater from a concert 20 years ago.
Right. I gotta wear it. Yeah, right. I almost went down that. If there are any girls there, if there's any sweaters there, I want to wear them.
Do we have any Mountain Dew?
Oh, can I get some Cheetos? Oh my gosh, the tangential awesomeness. Yes, the Funkatronic.
I've got an ogre slaying knife. It gets a +5 against ogres.
I love it. Oh my gosh, where were we? So we talked about the growth, talked about presence and how it gives you energy to spend and how many cards to play. And then each spirit has an innate power with a little special rule. So as you play stuff, and the more powers you play, which again leads into how are you going to get cards to play? How are you building that up?
Right.
You can do more stuff because, like mine, I think I did as well. If you have 3 fire and 2 this, I can destroy a town.
Right.
But the next thing up is if I played 4 fire and 4 air, I can destroy an additional town.
Right.
And then it goes to, you can just blow up a city.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is. I don't think I ever got the chance to blow up a city because I never
Yeah, I don't think we
had
quite
enough
got
of
there.
those. But the cards I had allowed me to do the spread the damage out, which,
Right.
you know, eventually it didn't matter because we were like, you're dead, and you're dead. We'll let you live one more round because we like you. Not really. And then you're going to dead next turn. Now, the other part that I think is cool about this game, it does have native inhabitants.
The Dahan.
Dahan. The Dahan herders, or whatever. So, again, they're represented by little wooden mushrooms, little huts that move around.
They're huts, but they resemble mushrooms.
Resemble mushrooms. Easy to carve.
So yeah, the Dahan. The Dahan are the
Dahan.
natives that are populating the island.
Mm-hmm.
The Dahan are a limited resource.
Right.
For the most part, they're passive. They don't really do a lot. But you, as a spirit, you can move the Dahan around.
Right.
If the invaders try to, if the invaders ravage the land, and the Dahan survive the ravage, because the invaders will deal damage to the Dahan in that land when it's ravaged. If the Dahan survive, they'll fight back and destroy the invaders.
Right. Do damage back. Yep.
So there's different spirits that do different things, and that's kind of the beauty of it is so we talked about you had your storm clouds that you were shocking things down and you were going really fast. I was playing the river, but there's one spirit that I played recently that I loved. It was a lot of fun. Was called Thunder Speaker.
Ooh.
Thunder Speaker is a spirit that they basically embody the Dahan, or they possess the Dahan in their lands. And so what ended up happening in the game, it was a 3-player game, and I basically just gathered all the Dahan up into these different lands, and they could add more Dahan. It was one of the few spirits that
Right, because that's the thing you
add
talked
more.
about is like if the Dahan get killed by the adversaries,
There's not a lot of ways to bring them
can't
back.
really come back. So did we want to move them in here to have them fight the invaders, or did we not? Like, how do we keep them around?
Correct.
Because I assume if you lose all of them,
There's no.
is it a loss condition? If you
No.
lose? Oh, okay.
No, you could sacrifice the Dahan.
That's what
we
you're.
only care about the island.
That's what I was saying.
So the Dahan aren't a lose condition, but they are a valuable resource
Okay.
to helping you to fight off the invaders.
Right.
So what Thunder Speaker would do, what ended up happening is later in the game, I would have my friends would be doing their things. I don't even remember what spirits they were playing. But I would have this army of Dahan. I would take 6, 7 Dahan and then move them all into one land. And then they would just deal a bunch of damage to everything in that land and then move to the next land. And so we'd have these hordes of Dahan just moving down the coasts and just ravaging everything in
The
their
normal,
path.
peaceful Dahan are farmers
Yeah.
and herders. But if you get them upset,
Exactly.
they come at you, bro. Oh man, that's great.
It
That
was
is-
really cool, and it felt really powerful, and definitely it was a moderate difficulty, so it was a step above the difficulty that we played with
Yeah.
in our game, but it made for some really interesting decision points for sure.
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. And speaking of decision points, the idea of how, as you play the game, there's you play it in a round, obviously, and there is the different segments of that round. So the first part of the round is
The spirit phase.
the spirit phase, where you
That's
get
where
to
you
decide,
grow.
right?
You gain some energy, and you choose which powers you're going to use this
Right,
turn.
right. So you set that up. Now, one thing to remember, and this took me a second to remember, is your power that you create from your power track, your presence, rolls over. You keep the power you don't spend from turn to turn, right?
The energy, yeah.
The
yeah,
energy.
yeah.
Sorry, the energy. Sorry, I should use the right word. So your energy that you use to spend on powers, you keep it. So if you save one, you're going to keep it next round.
Correct.
So you can save it and build up to a big round.
Correct.
Which is very cool.
It's very
I was
important.
like, gosh, if I just don't, I need to use all of them. And you're like, no. Shh, Chris, don't. It's okay. You can save it. So
Save your energy.
Save your energy. I'm like, oh, that's what I'm doing right now. What was I going to say?
So after we've chosen, after we complete the spirit phase and we've
Right.
chosen our powers, then
Right.
we go to the fast phase.
That's right. Right.
And that's where you resolve any and all fast powers that you want to use. So any powers that you've chosen to play this turn that have the little bird on them that denote that
The
they're
fast symbol. Yep.
then those powers are then resolved at this time. Now, you don't have to fully resolve a power. If something changed or something like that, then you can't resolve that power. It's fine. You can't undo it,
Right.
but you still generate the elements and the powers still
Right. So this
still
is,
play
again, cooperative. So you and I be like, I have this power and this power, and I've got this much energy to spend. Well, let's do this. And if I play this power, you can push them this way, and then I can activate this power. Even though they're all kind of simultaneous, we can do it in like a little bit of an order.
Correct.
During that. To again, help wipe out these infidels. And then, once we finish up all of our fast powers, this comes the scary part, is the adversary.
the
or
invader phase.
The invader phase.
The invader phase is pretty complex because overall it's really simple, but it is a big section. The most time you're going to spend playing this game is the spirit phase, where you're growing, choosing powers.
Right.
That requires the most thinking and planning. That's going to take the longest. The next longest is typically the invader phase.
Invader phase, yeah.
So at the start of the invader phase, if you're playing with an expansion that adds events, you resolve an event. We did not, so that
Good.
didn't happen.
I like that.
Events. It adds a sense of randomness to the game, and usually makes it a little bit more difficult. There are good things that happen in events. But almost every event does a bad thing, a really bad thing. Usually does something where like the island kind of reacts,
Right.
And then it'll usually have like a good thing, like the Dahan get stronger or something like that. Then if you've unlocked any fear cards, if you've generated enough fear to unlock a fear card, you flip those over and resolve those. If you've resolved more than one, you resolve all of them at the same time. Then you go. Then the invaders are going to, in reverse order. Well, in this order, but in reverse order than what you would think. They're going to ravage the land that they were planning on ravaging this turn, which you know what that is ahead of time, because they ravage that, so they deal damage both to the land and the Dahan, blight the land if they do 2 or more damage, and then that's done. That's all the ravage does in every land that is of that type. So if they're ravaging mountains,
They ravage all the mountains.
they ravage all the mountains on that they are in. So if we manage
Not
to
just
push
next to, but
or
they have
destroy,
they have to have a presence in that land.
Right. If we've managed to push or destroy all of the invaders from a mountain region, then they don't affect that region.
Right, which I think that happened once or twice during our game, where we're like, they're going to ravage the mountains or whatever. We need to. Do you have something to reduce or push them off that?
Happens a lot. You have to be able to handle that. Next, they're going to build. So let's say they're building in the wetlands this turn in our example. Then anywhere that an invader is in the wetlands, they will build. If they have more towns than they have cities in that land, then they'll build a city.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll build a town.
Right.
That card will then be the land that they ravage in next turn.
Right. So this is similar to Legendary when a villain shows up on the track. They move over with each card is drawn. So the first card you flip over is the Explorer. Then the next turn you flip another card over. The card that was in the Explorer shifts over to the Build. And then it continues down the line. And eventually
and then
they
build
are
shifts to ravage, and then they're discarded.
So you can see, as you said earlier, you're planning and looking at this track going, where are they going to ravage? Where are they going to explore and build? So you can hopefully prevent it.
Correct, exactly. So after they're done building, then they explore, as you said. So you flip over the top card of the deck, and that if that land, that type, so let's say we flip over sands, they will, if that sands is next to or connecting to a land that has a town or a city, or if it's connected to a coast, then the invaders will move and explore into there.
Which 9 times out of 10 it does.
Most of the time, yes. I think in our game we did manage to isolate a land where they weren't able to explore into
No,
it.
we did look at, like, we were lucky with a good draw that they couldn't explore into a couple of places because they didn't have somebody close to it. So
Correct.
you have to have somebody, a town or city, for them to explore from. Again, very thematic. Like they've got a home base and now they're pushing out from that.
And if they don't have any, well, if they don't have any towns or cities, you've probably won the game. But if they don't have, towns or cities connected, if it's connected to the ocean, then they're sending a ship in from wherever they're coming from.
Right.
So there's almost always going to be somebody
They're
landing.
always coming.
Genius design, very thematic, also keeps the game moving, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
After they're done with the explore phase, you move all the cards over, like we just said, and that's it. That's the entirety of the invader phase.
And then you have a chance to respond with your slow powers. So I think unlike us, I think we did almost all of our powers were fast because you're like, well, let's just go fast.
That's what happens with Lightning Bird.
Right. Let's just go fast. Boom, 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 boom. We'll see you on the flip side. But if you do have a power that is denoted with a turtle as opposed to a bird, shockingly enough, all those powers then activate. And any combos you have with any of the elements, anything like that, so you have a chance to really, hopefully, maybe clean up something that slipped through, attack a little bit.
Prevent the next build or the next ravage.
Yep.
Make decisions based on where they explored to, that kind of thing. So the slow... Generally speaking, like your character has a lot of slow powers, but they resolve them all fast.
Right.
My character is usually slow. The river river surges in sunlight, I think is what it's called. So river is usually very slow focused, where I'm just slowly after they've explored, I'm pushing things around and preventing builds and that kind of thing. But with our two spirits combined, it ended up being we're pushing them all into one area, zapping them from the skies, and then they're not building or
and they run over like, let's go to the mountains, it's safer there. Nope. Let's go to the desert, it's safer there. Nope.
It's wet. It's all wet.
It's all wet. That's right. And I'm sitting there going, guess what? What happens to an invader that gets struck by lightning?
The same thing as anything else.
That's right. Oh my gosh, you guys are in water? Oh, waters are great. Zap! It was good. So I had a lot of fun playing the game because there was definitely a couple of times where I, as a new player and experiencing it for the first time, was like, Paul, they just keep coming. Is this how it's supposed to happen? Like, I just worked my butt off to clear this wetlands,
and now they're
back. Now they're just like back. I'm like, yeah. So the fun part of that frustration, that's the challenge of like, I just worked hard to clear this and now they're back and now I got to keep working at it. But now they're also over there and over here and me trying to think ahead a few steps. I think the way the board was displayed and being to look at where they're going to go really helped me out. Yeah. Because I can see, all right, I don't need to worry about wetlands right now because they're not going to ravage it because they don't need anybody, as you said, but they're going to build over here. Nuts! Okay, let's focus on that. Let me get my presence over here so I can do my powers within range of that presence and zap people. That really helped me out because I'm not the best, I'm not the smartest tool in the sheds, I'm not the sharpest tactical person of the thinking. So that really helped me out trying to look at how they will act. And I thought that was a really cool design. Like, listen, you don't have to be a tactical genius. Play your spirit, find its strengths, and then you can, again, use your omnipotent powers to look ahead and see what's going to happen.
That's an interesting point because, like I said, I've played the majority of my plays, especially in multiplayer, have been playing the digital version, the video game version. And what's interesting about that is the friends I taught the game to, they didn't understand how the build, ravage, explore phase works. Ravage, build, explore phase works. I did explain it, but there's so much to explain, and
I mean, it's definitely
people are gonna miss.
It's
things.
not super complicated, but it definitely takes a second to wrap your head around it. So, which is great because that's part of the game of the complexity of the actions, complexity of the rule set. Be like, is this fun? It's making my brain work a little harder. Excellent, or maybe not sometimes if I haven't had enough caffeine. But yes, like how is this going to affect us as we play the game?
It was 3 or 4 games in that they figured that when I explained how they explore and then they're going to build in that same land, then they're going to ravage that same land. They thought it was just random every time.
Right.
They didn't realize because in the digital version you don't see those cards splayed out and you don't push them over, and so it wasn't as clear in the digital version as it is in physical. So I think there's a strength to. I like playing the game in the digital version. If you're interested in the game and you want to try it out, if you want to play a game,
right?
If I've got time, I'm interested. But there's a strength to playing it in the physical form where you can see everything splayed out, move the stuff. You understand how the invaders work a little bit better. Whereas in the digital version, you're just focused on the spirit stuff because the computer handles all the invader stuff for you.
No, that's cool. No, that is kind of a nice thing. Like, listen, if you don't have room to store board games or whatever, you don't want to spend as much money. I'm sure it's not too expensive, and I have an iPad. Like, I can play with my friends online, great, and still get the taste of the game and still enjoy it. But you're like, I want to upgrade. So I mean, again, sometimes the book is better than the movie. Playing the physical board game is sometimes better than the digital. Not always, but sometimes.
There's oftentimes strengths to the digital version as well. Like the digital version helps simplify some, especially like with events and things like that, where you're limited in terms of your choices on which lands are affected.
Yeah.
The digital version takes a lot of that away for you, or it simplifies setup and that kind of thing.
Well, I know there's one version. There is a digital version of a game that I really enjoyed. I haven't played it enough or a lot. Carcassonne. Mm-hmm. The setup of it, the way the rules work, counting the points. The same workmates that I played Legendary with a lot is the same people we had a digital version of Carcassonne, she had it on her iPad. We just put the iPad in the middle of the table. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this game's great. This is awesome. I'm going to go buy this game. It's great. And then I got it. And I'm like, oh, we got to... Okay, good.
It's a lot more mathy.
It's a lot more mathy, and then seeing like how the tiles interconnect, where the meeples move, and all that stuff. And I was like, I still liked it. Right. I really liked it, but the simplicity of playing a digital version, because we played it with my kid. Right. And I was like, we don't have to set up the full board. We can play it on your iPad. And he's like, oh, we can play it on my iPad? Of course. He's instant like, ooh, digital? And so, but it did the math and looking at all those some of the weird points.
Calculating the farmlands.
Right. Exactly. So same thing with this one here. It sounds like Spirit Island digital version has, like some advantages that you can, I just want to play the game and not worry about some of the mechanics of it.
Right. Yeah. I obviously I own both. I was gifted the digital version by some friends that I don't meet together for physical games very often. And they bought the base version of the digital game for me. That got me hooked, and then, like I said, in the last episode, I had a bunch of birthday money left over, and I just kind of impulse bought the game and all the expansions because I knew I enjoyed it, and I knew it would be fun in person, and I knew it would be a game that my in-person friends would enjoy. So I picked that up. So I own both, and then, I got it for the phone because I think it was on sale. For the phone, and I got the phone version, so that way I could play it on the go, and that's been a great toilet game.
Or like I play Marvel Snap a lot when I'm having breakfast and lunch, taking a break. So like that. Like the toilet games. I'm in an inline game. I'm at the bank game where I'm like I can just play a round or two,
knock out a quick game.
Yeah, exactly.
Regardless. If it all sounds interesting to you, I highly recommend it. Again, it is it's a simple game to start, but a very, very complicated game It is more for experienced gamers,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't recommend it to someone that says, "Oh, I'm looking for a game, a new board game where we haven't really played much. We played Monopoly and Catan. What would you recommend?" Spirit Island. No, don't get Spirit Island.
Get Spirit Island. You'll never play a board game again.
Honestly, if all of this sounds interesting to you, but you're not an experienced board gamer, maybe most of your experience is in the card game side
Yeah.
of things or the war game side of things, and you just want to have a similar experience with your friends and family, but a more simplified version. Pandemic is
Oh,
the
God.
go-to. It does a lot of the same things that we're talking about,
No, I love Pandemic. And
but on a
again,
much simplified scale.
no, I loved Pandemic because it was one of the few games, board game style. Setup's not too complicated. Gameplay's good. It's got a good pace to it.
Mm-hmm.
And the kid enjoyed playing it.
Yeah.
So we played it a few times. And he's like, oh my gosh, we got to do this. And he's like, how many of these do we got to fix? I'm like, there's 4. Wait, there's 5. No, 4. 4 or 5. He's
3
like,
in the base game.
Okay, so I think we just played the base game. It's like, there are 3 different colors out here, dude. We have to cure all
3?
of
Is
them.
it 4?
I thought it was 4. Well, either way, he looked at the board and he's
Maybe
like,
it is 4.
there's a lot of diseases out here. And I'm like,
Been a while since I played Pandemic.
that's life. We got to cure them all.
Yeah.
So he was like, Roger, let's go. It did not seem overwhelming.
Right.
It felt challenging. And he got into it and it was fun. Yeah, I think you're right. Like Pandemic is definitely, even if you like Pandemic and you're like, we've played Pandemic a lot. Let's kick it up a notch.
Yeah.
Spirit Island would be
I would
along
recommend
those lines.
Spirit Island over an expansion to Pandemic. Like if you've played a bunch of Pandemic, you love it, but you've kind of solved it, it's getting repetitive. There's not a lot of replayability to
Yeah.
Pandemic after a certain point. There is a lot. It's worth the price point.
Oh, definitely.
But if you play it every week, once or twice a week for a year, you'll probably kind of get tired of it by that point. Maybe even before that.
yeah. Well, it's going to take a break, but yes, there's a lot of replayability in Pandemic, and this might be an excellent.
I think this is a perfect step up
Yeah.
where it plays almost the same. Like really, if you really think about it, this game and Pandemic, other than like skin and artwork and that kind of thing, they're the same game.
Yeah.
They really are. They feel very much the same.
Mm-hmm.
If you get rid of all the powers, if you instead of having the different lands, you have the different cities on the global
Right.
map.
Well, you have
right?
different cities on the globe as opposed to having spirits. You have scientists or whatever, right? Your characters that go through that have certain skills.
Instead of the virus just being the number of infected people or percentage of infected people, and it's stationary.
Mm-hmm. You
You have different scaling levels. You've got the 1 health, 1 damage explorer. You've got the 2 health, 2 damage town, 3 health, 3 damage city. And then you've got blight on top of that to show that area is lost, which you can heal blight with some spirits. So realistically, like from a very high level, if you remove a lot of the complicated parts from Spirit Island, or you complicate some of the parts of Pandemic, they are effectively the same game. But that being said, they're both wonderful, and they're both wonderful for specific tables.
Right. And your gaming group, right?
Yeah.
Depending on what you guys like to do you like to really get into the depths and really get into the nuts and bolts of a game and explore that complexity? I could definitely agree that seeing Spirit Island can have some amazing complexity. And admittedly, one of the other games you played a little bit ago, Baseball Highlights.
Uh-huh.
Same idea. Like you can start with the intro, and then as you add, more managers and this, you can upscale to your complexity level.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, expansions are great for that. I mean, this circles back to episodes 3 and 4. Pandemic is one of the games that I took to my cabin. It's a cabin game now.
Yeah.
And I think it's perfect as a cabin game.
Yeah.
I played it to death. I loved it. I didn't want to get rid of it. It's the perfect game for, taking up to the cabin. People can read through the rules real quick, play it, and have a great time.
Yeah.
And then for me, when I go up to the cabin myself, I can bring Spirit Island with me, right? There's been a couple times over the years where, my local board game group, we're like, let's go up to my dad's cabin for a weekend and let's just play nerdy board games for nonstop all day, every day.
It's a geek weekend, folks.
Yeah.
We're not going to see the sunlight. We're just going to hang out and play cards.
That's
and
exactly
board
what
games.
happened.
Yes.
We one year we went up, we played through like 6 different board games. It was
Nice.
Outer Rim.
Oh my gosh.
It was we played some Marvel Champions. We played a couple of games. We played several, and then another year.
Oh, we have a
Phone call. Another year we went up and we just played Gloomhaven the entire time.
Oh my gosh.
Brought a bunch of games,
Yeah.
but we ended up just playing through Gloomhaven.
Oh my gosh.
Another year, one of our buddies couldn't make it up, so we just played a bunch of 2-player games.
Yeah.
So like, I don't remember where I was going with that. other
the idea of
than Pandemic is a great game for newer players, great game for the cabin.
introduces this play style, right? This kind of game. If you like Pandemic, here's a next step.
Yeah,
Here's a
exactly.
little more complicated. Now, as we mentioned earlier in the show, Paul, staring at your boxes of Spirit Island, which I'm a little jealous of over there, you have 2 full boxes of glorious cardboard crack and plastic, unfortunately. But so with Spirit Island, there is kind of an intro level game, which is called. What's the name of that one again?
Horizons.
So Spirit Island Horizons is
Horizons
the intro.
of Spirit Island, I believe it is.
Not really intro. Maybe that's a bad way to phrase it, but like the simpler,
It's a
simplified intro. Maybe intro is a good way.
I think
All right.
intro is the best. It's an introductory version
Okay.
of Spirit Island.
Great.
For sure.
So Spirit Island Horizons, then there's a regular.
Regular Spirit
Spirit
Island,
Island.
which also works as
Yeah.
you could be your introduction to the
Yep,
game. There's
yep.
nothing wrong with it.
Depends on your budget, price point, what you want to
Correct.
invest into it. And then I noticed the other box over there, and I can't read it. Spirit Island.
Jagged Earth.
Oh, I was about to say tagged spray. What? Oh, Spirit
Jagged
Island.
Earth. Jagged Earth is like the 4th expansion.
The 4.
So
I love the fact that we both, almost every, and of course this is the business model. It's like, well, here's a game, and they go, oh, and there's expansion. Oh, and then there's another expansion. There's more expansions. Just not like we don't play Magic and Star Wars Unlimited, like all the collectibleness of it. So there's 4 expansions.
there are games where I don't pick up expansions
Yeah.
for them unless I feel it's really necessary. Spirit Island is a game that I had played it with the expansions digitally. I knew I enjoyed it, and there were a lot of things that it added that I really wanted. So the Spirit Island, there's a lot of expansions. Some of them just add a couple of spirits.
Okay.
There's one expansion that just adds 2 spirits, which is fine. Most of them will add some power cards, some minor and major powers. But really, the core expansions, like if you were to go out and let's say you bought Horizons of Spirit Island, because that was where your budget was, and you loved it, so you went out and you bought the base game. You've loved that. What's next? Branching Claw would probably be the next step. Branching Claw adds these tokens that we didn't play with in our game that are like represent animals and disease and strife and that kind of thing on the board. And they add a bunch of spirits that kind of interact with that. So like there's beast tokens that start on the board, and then those beasts the events will cause them to roam around and that kind of thing, and impact different things. I believe Branching Claw also added the initial event deck, so that adds a ton of replayability there.
Okay.
After Branching Claw, I would say the next best step would be Jagged Earth. Jagged Earth is almost a requirement moving forward, because all expansions moving forward are, as they're released, are going they're going to require that you have Jagged Earth, because Jagged Earth re-added the Branching Claw tokens that we just mentioned. It re-added events. It expanded on all of that stuff. There's no repeat content between Branching Claw and Jagged Earth, other than there was one card where they did an errata.
Okay.
Other than that, there's no repeat content.
Okay, so it's all original. So don't feel bad about having stuff cross over between the expansions.
You could do either one and be fine. Like you could go straight into Jagged Earth, but the Branching Claw spirits are a little less complicated, and I think that they're worth doing. So Branch Claw, then Jagged Earth. Jagged Earth adds a ton. It adds a bunch of the events. It adds a bunch of new fear cards. Branch Claw also added some fear cards, a bunch of powers. My power deck, I think when we played it was about this big.
Yeah.
It's about this big.
Oh my gosh, dude. Okay. For those listening at home, the visual representation was, so the original power deck was like maybe 4 to 5 inches. And then the stack is now like a foot high. It's massive.
I'm exaggerating a little bit, but
it definitely doubled.
Is massive.
It is doubled, if not, 2/3, like huge.
Yeah,
oh my god,
it's definitely more than doubled. And part of that is because I've sleeved my cards since we played.
Oh yes, of course. As we, I loved how we were sleeving them as we were playing. Oh, I'll take this power.
Oh, that's right. I was sleeve. When we were playing.
Yes, that was good.
So the sleeving it definitely helped grow that. But yeah, it adds a ton new powers. I would say between those 3 expansions, you've got a huge amount of replayability.
Yeah.
And then the last 2 expansions, I mentioned Feather and Flame. Feather and Flame, or Flame and Feather, maybe I've got it backwards. I'm pretty sure it's Feather and Flame. Feather and Flame adds 2 new spirits, a couple new powers. It also introduces the concept of aspects. So a couple of the base game spirits got aspects. And what aspects are is they change the complexity of that spirit or balance it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's the same complexity, and it just changes how it feels. Mm-hmm. But it replaces usually a power or the passive ability of the spirit.
Okay.
And so it changes how that spirit plays. And you just put that card over your player board, and it just changes.
So you don't get a new board. It's just like a little update card you can tap on top, tape down, or just use if you want to use it.
Oh, you wouldn't tape it. You just set it on top.
Sorry.
Because you can play it either way.
Yeah, okay.
Right? And then we get into the newest expansion, which is Nature Incarnate. And Nature Incarnate requires Jagged Earth.
Okay.
It introduces a ton of really complex spirits, really, really complex spirits. And it adds more of the stuff. It only added like 1 minor card, but it added a bunch of major cards, added some new tokens, added some spirits that use tokens in different ways. Oh. But the biggest thing is it added, I think it was like 20 new aspects.
Wow.
And some of them were repeats.
Yep.
So in some cases you have, I've got a couple of spirits that have like 3 or 4 different aspects that you can choose from. You only choose one, but you can choose which one of those 4 aspects you want to play with to change how that spirit plays. And so that really knocks open the door for diversity.
So you have a favorite spirit that you've really enjoyed playing a lot of, and
you feel
really
like you've solved it.
Right. Like if there's a spirit I grab, it's going to be this one, and that allows you to like experience it again and shift how it plays.
Right.
So now you can be like, well, if I play it with this aspect, how does it change it? If I play with this aspect, how does it change it? So again, replayability. Your favorite heroes. I love it. Your favorite spirits are still there, and you can reach for them. But now they've shifted a little bit to make them a little more fun.
It also
That's very cool.
There's a number of them that also fix spirits that weren't as fun or didn't quite do the thing that they wanted to do, and so there's aspects that kind of make those spirits more mechanically interesting and more viable. So it did do a lot for the game. But I would strongly recommend Nature Incarnate and Feather and Flame to be the last expansions you pick up if you're not having an influx of birthday money.
Right. And after you've played it a while, you're like, I want to add a little more to it. Here's an expansion. Now play that one for a while. Get your money out of it, right?
Yep.
Get bang for your buck, because they're not expensive, but they're not cheap. But again,
Right.
as we said last time, going to see a movie and spending X amount of money, or I can spend X amount of money on a game,
Right.
and I'm going to play that again and again and again.
To death, yeah.
Yeah. Great.
So when I bought Spirit Island and I got all the expansions for it, my initial plan was to just crack open the base game and play that with my in-person friends. And then once we've kind of played through that a bunch, then add one expansion. That was my initial goal. They ended up buying the video game version because of the Steam sale. And so we started playing the video game version, and then they absolutely loved it. So they picked up the expansions for the video game version. I was like, all right, I'm just going to mix it all together.
I guess it's on.
We're committed.
Yeah.
They feel like they've explored the base games, so we're just going to dive.
We want more, Paul. I want more. Oh my gosh. Well, honestly, it kind of is there anything that we missed? As I'm looking at wrapping this up and coming to the end of our episode, I think we've covered a lot of how much we enjoyed playing Spirit Island. Just the too long didn't read part is I had a lot of fun playing Spirit Island. I definitely would love to play it again.
Yep.
Maybe the intro one, Horizons, get it to play at home. I think that would be a really fun thing to play. Is there anything in Spirit Island like that you think we might have missed? Part hey, here's an interesting aspect of it. Here's an interesting thing to think about that might draw somebody into the game. Or because we covered a lot of it.
Yeah, I think we covered it pretty thoroughly, especially across the 2 episodes. I think the biggest thing that I would say for Spirit Island again is if this sounded interesting to you and you don't have a ton of experience with board games, but this is something that you think you might enjoy, or if you're not sure if you'll enjoy it but you want to try it, try Pandemic.
Yeah.
Give that a try. Like if you want to try something similar with your kid, play Pandemic with your kid.
Yep.
See if they like that, and then after you guys have played through Pandemic and it's not hitting the table as often and that kind of thing, jump into Horizons of Spirit Island. Or if you are a more experienced player group and you're gonna like this, none of this sounded crazy to you other than maybe terminology, but this. And you guys like a lot of decision points and interesting games and strategy, then definitely just dive right in. Just buy a base game. Let Mike know, or Michael, or Alex, or Hiroko know that this is something that you're interested in, and we'll get it ordered for you. Because it is a ton of fun, and it is absolute. Everyone I've introduced the game to. And granted, a lot of that has to do with knowing your audience, right? Like,
right.
I didn't sit down with the kid, I didn't sit down with the wife and bust this out with them yet, because I know it's not going to be a huge hit for them. But everyone that I do normally play board games with, that I've introduced this to, has absolutely fallen in love with it. It was introduced to me because it was something that I probably would enjoy, and I absolutely love it. I'm completely obsessed with this game. I want to play it all the time. So strongly recommend. 10 out of 10 for me.
10 out of 10.
11 out of 7.
It's a billion.
11 out of G. That's how we're going to do our rankings.
11 over X to the 20th power.
Yep.
It's great.
No,
that's awesome.
No, that means it's really low.
Wait.
Wait,
really
how
high.
big is X?
I have no idea. Math is hard. And again, as a first-time player, I agree. I think Spirit Island was a lot of fun. I agree with the Pandemic comparison. If you're looking looking for a similar game to kick it up a notch, absolutely go check out Spirit Island. And get people around the table and start playing it.
Absolutely,
I think it's good. Pull it out of the shelf and get it on the table.
And if you pick it up and if you pick up the video game version, because that sounds interesting to you, feel free to at me on the Discord, and we can find a time to jump in a game together.
Yeah. And speaking of Discord, obviously, hop on there. Let us know what you thought. If you've played this, let us know how you liked it, what you think about it. Good and bad. Let us know so that other people, when they look at the box and look at the game, they go, "I've heard some people talk about it, and I want to buy it. This sounds really fun." And of course, over on If you're on the Patreon, obviously reach out to us. Let us know. Like, yes, I love Spirit Island, or I didn't.
I don't know how far out we're gonna post this episode, but we are talking about making some changes to the Patreon levels and that kind of thing. So stay tuned for that.
Well,
cool.
Paul, I think we should wrap this up, dude.
Don't forget to ask us questions on the forum.
Yes.
Check out the podcast channel on the Discord. Let us know your questions. We are eager to answer them.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening, everybody, and we will see you guys on the Flippity Flop. Bye!
Bye, nerds!
Bye, nerds!
That's it, man. Game over, man. That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
Let's play.
Shall we play a game?